Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Surely we want God to lead us. And if he leads us, no matter what others may say or think, we'll be all right. Look at your neighbor and tell him, I'm going to be all right. Yeah. Luke chapter 9, verses 51 through 62 present this narrative that we're looking at today. And I want to walk through part of it. At verse 51, the text says, as the time approached for him to be taken up to heaven, Jesus resolutely set out for Jerusalem. And he sent messengers on ahead who went into a Samaritan village to get things ready for him. Verse 53, but the people there did not welcome him because he was heading for Jerusalem. When the disciples, James and John, saw this, they asked, Lord, do you want us to call fire down from heaven and destroy them? But Jesus turned and rebuked them. Then he and his disciples went to another village. I want to talk about following Jesus for just a few minutes. And I think that today I would like to address the graduates in particular and all of us, but I want the graduates to be real clear that whenever you resolutely set out to do something, there will always be people who will stand in your way. Whenever you resolutely set out to do something, there will always be those who will tell you you can't do it, and they will not support you in what it is that you are about to do. But you need to know that if God has called you, if God has ordained you, if God has given you your intelligence and your intellect, he has also given you the ability to do what he tells you, no matter what others may think about what you do. And that's really, really, really important because, you see, Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem to save you and me. If he hadn't gone, then we wouldn't be here today. And yet, while he was on his way, there were people who would not welcome him because he was going to Jerusalem. And so you got to pause here and I think about graduation and what it means. One of the things that happens when you graduate, you need to be real clear, you're probably going to get a new set of friends. You just need to be real clear that it will not be as it has been. Because there were some who were supposed to graduate with you, and they didn't. There were some who set out and started out on the journey, but they didn't make it. And because they see that you're on your way somewhere, they will try to deter you and make you think you got to stay with them. You can't stay with them. They didn't graduate. You can't stay with them. They don't have what you have to operate in this life. And what you have is a higher calling. You have a greater gift. You have work that God has called you to do. And so you can't let anybody turn you around. You can't let people slow you down. You can't let people cause you to think that you can't do what God has ordained you to do just because they don't want to go with you. This is amazing to me, but it happens all the time. It said the people there did not welcome him because he was heading for Jerusalem. Whenever you're on your way somewhere and people can see that you're on your way somewhere, there will be a group of people who will not want to deal with you, not want to help you, not want to be by your side because they're really just jealous of you and they don't like where you're going. They don't like what you've accomplished. They don't like the fact that you are rising above and going forward with your life. They want you to stay back. But you've got to go forward and do everything that God has ordained you to do. You got to go where God is calling you. And sometimes he calls you from the place that you are most comfortable. You got to be real clear. You didn't graduate to be comfortable. You didn't graduate so that you could just be anywhere. God has a place for you in this world, and he's calling you, and you got to come where God is calling you. You got to go where your calling is. I was listening to these job titles and these things that people do, and they aren't things that we thought about or dreamed about or studied for or even had in the catalog. God is taking you somewhere that none of us have been, so we can't even tell you how to get there. He's giving you a brand new day, a brand new way. He's got a higher calling for you. And so you've got to accept the responsibility of going where God is leading you, doing what God is telling you, and becoming who God created you to be. And that means that you can't always hang out with us. That's hard. Family don't want you to go. They want you to stay here. Friends don't want you to go. Everybody wants you to stay here. But you got to go where God is calling you. You've got to answer the call where you will be. I never forget the company I used to work for. They never asked me if I wanted to go somewhere. They always told me where my next paycheck would be. They asked me if I wanted to move. They said, this office is moving to Houston on this date, and that's where your job will be. What about this one? This one will exist no more. That's where your job will be if you continue with us. And I go, oh, they ain't even asked me. But they did close the office without my permission, and they moved everybody to Houston. But they didn't ask me. And you got to know that stuff is going to happen and ain't nobody going to ask you. Either you go or you go. Because the office where you are will be no more. And so it's amazing how God calls us, challenges us to follow him. And when you follow him, there will always be people who will not like it. There will always be people who try to hold you back. There will always be people who think that you shouldn't be going where you're going or doing what you're doing. And that's because they don't understand who you are. They don't know how God created you. They don't know what God has deposited in you. They don't know the greatness that God requires of you or the thing that God is going to do with your life to change the world. They have no idea the contribution you will make. And you don't really know the contribution you will make But God is going to make a change in this world just because of you, just because of who you are, just because he created you, just because he ordained you, just because he has gifted you, just because he has given you the intelligence and the intellect, means that he has plans for your life. And God never really bothers to share all of his plan with us. But he has a plan. And it's up to us to follow him, so that we live out the plan that he has for each of our lives. I've said almost everything I wanted to say except this one verse. I got to bring it up. It says, one person told him, I'll follow you wherever you go. And Jesus replied, the foxes have holes, the birds have nests, but the Son of Man, no place to lay his head. And Jesus' response to this person lets me know that most of us really believe in our hearts that we will go wherever God wants us to go and do whatever God wants us to do. The problem is we have no idea where he wants us to go. And the reality is we are willing right up until we discover he's on his way to Jerusalem. And he ain't going to Jerusalem to make me great. He's going to Jerusalem to die. Oh. Well, if you're going to die, what's going to happen to me? You don't get cold feet until you realize that there's a part of the plan that you didn't understand. And this disciple had no clue what he would really have to go through in order to follow Jesus. And the reality is, none of us know how much we will go through or what we will have to encounter when we choose to follow Jesus. But what we do know is if we follow him, he will take care of us. If we follow him, he will keep us. If we follow him, he will guide us. If we follow him, he will protect us. If we follow him, he will provide for us. If we follow him, he will give us victory. If we follow him, we will fulfill the plan that he has for our lives. But we must first make a decision that no matter what I have to go through, if I go through it with Jesus, I'll be all right. If I go through it with Jesus, I will be more than a conqueror. If I go through it with Jesus, I will be victorious. If I go through it with Jesus, I will have the victory. I will live the life. I will be everything that he created me to be. So I got to follow Jesus. When you follow him, you got to learn to stop making excuses. Look at your neighbor and tell him, you need to stop making excuses. I'm going to tell you a secret. God does not need your help in doing what he called you to do. What he wants you to do is to trust him, to be willing to follow him, and he will, through you, get everything done. This is amazing, but I know it's true. You work in medicine, it doesn't matter where you choose to work. God has to reveal to you what it is to do if you're really going to make a difference. A lot of people spend their lives trying to fit in. I need to tell you that God didn't call you to fit in. God called you to follow him. He didn't call you to be like nobody else. He called you to be you. He gifted you. He gave you talent and ability, and he has something that nobody but you can do in this world. And so, my brothers and sisters, it's your time to get it right with God. It's your time to rise to what God has created you for. It's your time to be blessed. No more excuses. No more excuses. I was thinking about William when he was in school. he would come home with an 89. And I would say, if you just tried a little, you could have made a 90. And his response would always be, but there were people who failed that class. I made an 89. Sometimes we don't understand that God is calling us to greater things. He ain't calling you to the same thing that other people are doing. He ain't calling you to the same level of achievement that others will attain. All of us have different abilities, and all of us can go to a different level if we only try. Look at somebody and tell them, you got to put forth the effort. Look them in the eye and tell them, sure enough, you got to put forth the effort. And if you put forth the effort, I guarantee you, God will take you higher than you've ever dreamed. He will take you higher. Look at somebody and tell them it's time to go higher. Look at somebody else and tell them it's time to go higher. No matter how good you've been or how well you've done, it's time to go higher. You can do more, you can be better, you can be best. So go for it. And as you go for it, remember to give God the glory for the great thing he's done. God bless you, and may he forever smile on you. Let's stand. Today, it may be someone who realized that God is calling them to higher, to greater, to better, to more. In order to get there, you first of all have to have a relationship with Jesus. When you develop that relationship with him, he will give you everything that you need to make the journey. And so we offer the opportunity for someone to give themselves to him right now. This is your time. I have decided to follow Jesus.
Though none go with, though none go, still I will. Though none, still I. Nobody may go. I want you to know. No turning, no turning.
At Bethel, we're here with an open heart and an open mind, with God by our side, waiting to welcome you.
One word that describes Bethel to me would be tradition.
And to me, it's family.
In one word, I would describe Bethel as awesome.
Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. Raymond Bryant. This is my wife, Linda. We are at Bethel AME Church here in San Antonio, Texas. We enjoy being in the presence of God each and every Sunday, and we would love for you to experience the presence of God here with us. Come and join us. Hope to see you next Sunday. God bless you.
We're a social church, so check us out on Facebook under Bethel AME Church, San Antonio, Texas. We look forward to seeing you Sunday.